Rizzo's spokesman said that the unveiling would be indefinitely postponed. What did he mean? Are we going to have to wait an entire week? 2 weeks?
I suspect it may take longer than that. If the murder isn't solved, the unveiling could be postponed for as long as a month.
I can't believe that! We should sue.
We can sue later. For now, let's just enjoy the day and hope the murder is solved with due haste.
Guess I ought to call you Inspector while we're...
What's on your mind?
Ooh, feels like I'm breathing rich people air.
What's on your mind?
The murder has inflicted severe emotional trauma on me. I demand a room upgrade. I can't believe Helen's gone. We're never going to get a sequel to Terror on Monarch.
I'm sorry, sir, but while the hotel is an active crime scene, I regret to inform you that all new bookings, room upgrades, room downgrades, and in-room massages are Oh, you're the special inspector. Mr. Kincannon warned me you'd be checking in soon. She's with Dr. Goodnight. Oh, and the victim, of course. In the grand ballroom. Of course. Allow me to just pull up your info. It looks like you'll be staying in our luxurious penthouse suite, vacated just recently. So recently that unfortunately the room's still being cleaned. I'm sure it'll be ready for you by the time you've examined the crime scene. I believe Constable Keene should be waiting for you in the grand ballroom. Oh, the ballroom's right behind the tower elevators. Swing a left or a right, then cut through the crowd of spectators. You can't miss it.
Why, hello there! Goodness, I always enjoy seeing guests, but it's been so long since I've chatted face to face that I about hopped out of my skin at the sight of you. Excuse me, I should introduce myself, though you might know me already, just not by name. I'm Bellhop Sullivan. You've likely heard my dulcet tones through the elevator intercom. Oh, that's so nice of you to say. I'm glad to meet you too. Now that our introductions are out of the way, do let me know if I can help you with anything. Oh yes, Norville's great. Always ready to help any and all guests who might need it. And so handsome too. His judgment sometimes leaves something to be desired, I will say. Kept badgering Halcyon Helen prior to her death about an autograph or something. A little beyond his station. Well, yes, but having an operator certifies that the right guests end up on the proper floors. We wouldn't want tossball players rubbing shoulders with CEOs. It'd be anarchy. Plus, there's always the risk a guest chips a nail or loses a ring on a button. It's an extra effort, but the Grand Colonial prides itself on personalized service in all things. That and the elevator still works if I'm ever not around. I do take occasional breaks and sleep every so often. Unfortunately not. I was in the operator room for the elevator, as usual. The camera feed only allows me to see within the elevator, which always has many people coming through. For what it's worth, the murder was a right shame. I always enjoyed the serials starring Ms. Helen, though I did find them prone to repetitive plot structures. But I'm sure you've heard the rumor about what actually did her in. That marauders got into the hotel and management is covering it up so the guests don't run off? Well, not necessarily, but they're fairly prevalent on the other complexes. It wouldn't take much for them to find their way here. Slug claims they've got the problem under control, but I don't understand why they haven't simply gone and exterminated all of the marauders like the vermin they are. Oh, well, I'm just here to push buttons.
The Grand Colonial Front Desk warmly welcomes you, Inspector. It's a pleasure to see you again. How may I be of assistance to you, Inspector? My apologies, Inspector, but that would be a severe violation of guest privacy. We here at the Grand Colonial firmly believe that... All right, my supervisor just walked out of earshot. Some folks just don't understand the importance of gossip. About whom? And what would you wish to know? You know, out of everyone here, I probably knew the least about Helen. I'm not much of an Aetherwave watcher myself. And Helen always had a crowd of admirers chasing her, you see, so she rarely stopped to chat. Friendly enough, surely, but always seemed untouchable. Emphasis on seemed. Everyone wanted to be around Helen. She could usually be seen alongside Bertie or Woolrich, for obvious reasons. Ah, Bertie. Is he bigger than he is dumb, or dumber than he is big? I've a bet with a friend. Not sure we'll ever get it to pay out. Bertie used to be Helen's beau, though he isn't anymore, and not just because she's dead. If I had 1,000,000 bits, I'd spend every one just to learn what caused their split. If looks could kill, he'd have put her in the ground 10 times over. Man's clearly jealous of her success compared to his. See, I'd bet we're the only two people thinking about him in all of Eridanos. And I only am because you mentioned his name. If you leave woolly cow milk out, it turns to curds. Leave the curds out, they begin to get stale, then rot. Woolridge is on his way to the trash bin, and everyone knows it. Either he's in denial, or he knew Helen would be checking out soon, judging by his increasing demands for a room upgrade. That's a shame, Inspector. What if I wanted to know a little about you? A dashing gunslinger type, then. I'm sure the investigation will turn out splendidly in your hands. Or at least Mr. Kincannon seems confident enough to believe so. It certainly is a marvel of modern ingenuity, luxury, and ambition. Please, allow me to answer any curiosities you might have about our building and the amenities on offer. Twice the size of the next biggest room, and kitted out with any amenity you want, as well as many that you won't. Best to enjoy it while you can, Inspector. Typically, the only people who can afford the penthouse suite have enough bits to suffocate everyone on Terra 2. Also, please inform me if Woolridge gives you a hard time about getting a better room than his. Don't tell him I said this, but everyone on staff wants to strangle him. Most certainly. All the important folks can be found in the utmost parts of the hotel. You can hardly walk 3 feet without bumping into a tossball grate or a bored exec. Though maybe don't bump into them. Could be harmful to your health. Who would be interested in a staff-only area? Most folks never ask about the sewers beneath Rizzo's plant, either. Oh no, Inspector, sir. I live down there too. But that doesn't mean I plan to abide in the bowels of the Grand Colonial forever. The best thing about Sublight compared to other organizations is the potential for upward mobility. We bottom rungers get in, do our job, do it well, then move up and on. This is but one rung on the grand ladder of life, you see? If you're sure. Of course. Allow me to just pull up your info. It looks like you'll be staying in our luxurious penthouse. I'm sure it'll be ready for you by the time you've examined the crime scene.
I'll bet you 10 bit.
Oh, come on. Why is the lounge closed?
The crime scene's awaiting, Inspector. Can't believe something like this could happen in my hotel. When I found her, I was just hoping she had a little too much to drink, but all the grievous bodily injury adds up, I suppose. Hey, Byzantines and restraint aren't two words that often go together. Wouldn't be the first blood-soaked, unconscious party-goer I've come across. Anyway, I'm sure you've got questions. Everyone's got theories. I don't reckon mine hold much more weight than anyone else's. Of course I did. I just told you I found the body. Oh, wait. You mean when she was still breathing? No, of course I didn't. Plus, it's untoward for an employee to speculate about the actions of a hotel guest. Not that I saw any hotel guests interacting with her. Honestly, you're more than a little right. I've been burning at the britches to share my theories. Day of her death, I saw Helen leave the hotel premises with the profit of profitability, and didn't see her come back. A little on the suspicious side, I think. Seemed especially strange, seeing how, as far as I was aware, the two didn't get on. Yep. Gives seminars on increasing profit margins and the like. Can't say much else, seeing how I ain't in the gossip market. Or as I can recall, Helen dismissed the ladies' seminars in some kind of interview. Said her co-star used them, but she didn't. The top rungers are always ready to read between the lines of famous folks and seem to think the profit was on her way out. Woman lost a ton of bits and is set to lose more. I hope all that helped. I'd like to be as useful as I can in the investigation. I just didn't want to steer anyone the wrong way. Sure, I'd taken to checking the ballroom every few hours prior to the unveiling. Just to make sure no sprats had snuck into the place. You understand. Found her right before I was set to head back to my room in the lower levels for my mandated 5-hour sleep period. Tell ya, thank the law for caffeinoid. Been too upset to get a wink of sleep since. And hey, now I can finally see smells. Beats all hell out of me. Maybe she was, practicing for the unveiling? What? No! Just because I found the corpse doesn't mean I made her a corpse. I was in shift all day. Besides, I loved Helen serials. Well, the old ones anyway. The newer episodes are hot junk on a warm day. Sure? What's on your mind? Of course I... Sorry.
Welcome to the Grand Cologne.
The grand... How may I... Her deal? Not making them. I'd laugh at my own comment, but everyone knows there's no bigger joke than the prophet of profitability herself. Didn't you hear Helen's interview? That woman is the definition of humbuggery. Anyone who gives her the time of day is a right fool. I mean, Spencer Woolrich has taken several of her productivity seminars, and look where it got him. Don't waste your time. That...
Oh, help! Any...
With Halcyon Helen.
Black hole birdies disappeared, you know. That poor fellow must be inconsolable.
I knew I should have gotten her autograph when I had the chance.
Why is everybody staring? Didn't nobody teach them to respect the dead? Oh gosh, is that Miss Helen? Can we see?
Guess I ought to call...
What's on your mind?
Inspector, hope you catch that killer soon.
I could never work for Slug. They're not recognized by the board.
Oh, thank the law. Inspector, you don't know how relieved I am to see you. Constable Maria Keene. It's good to meet you in person, Inspector.
Dr. Goodnight. Ecstatic to make your various acquaintances and so on. Are we finished with the pleasantries? There's something I'm excited to show you. Are you talking about that program? What was it called? Perspiring Your Way to Productivity? No, what I have is much more invigorating.
Our coroner has developed a device which may prove useful in your investigation. Our office has instructed her to hand it over to you.
Our office has instructed her to hand it over to you. Oh, please. You make it sound as if I'm turning over stolen goods. Behold, my discrepancy amplifier. Hold it in your hands. Feel the way it hums with ontological potential. I'm so glad you asked. Allow me to explain. The discrepancy amplifier uses a deterministic model of our universe to detect the discrepancy between what should be and what actually is. Then it renders any discrepancies visible by using the power of magnification. Oh, goodness, no. I don't care for OSI doctrine. I just enjoy their math.
I'm contractually prohibited from endorsing off-brand technology, but I'll bend that rule just this once. You'll want to peer into the amplifier and examine the crime scene.
Watch it!
Nice.
The discrepancy amplifier is now operational. Greetings, designated inspector and/or unauthorized larcenist. This unit has detected a discrepancy related to Halcyon Helen. Unscheduled expiration of. Begin amplification. The discrepancy amplifier has been programmed with advanced speech recognition, scientific analysis, and deterministic calculus protocols.
Oh, you'll love this. Amplifier, tell the inspector about your features.
Please do not interrupt the discrepancy amplifier. The discrepancy amplifier is programmed to take instruction from its registered or designated inspector.
How curious. I must have set its impertinence levels to flagrant.
This unit's features include an automated personality simulator. This unit has been programmed to simulate joy and satisfaction in assisting you. This footprint stands out from the normally spotless floor of the grand ballroom. Typically, the ballroom is cleaned twice daily, which means this must have been made by either Helen or her assailant or assailants. Footprint is a tailor-made 8.75, suggesting that its owner was very particular about their shoe size. It is also the exact size that Halcyon Helen typically prefers. There are traces of dirt throughout the footprint. The dirt carries traces of fertilizer, as well as the faint signs of crushed purpleberries and grass. Grass, fertilizer, and purpleberries can all be found in the purpleberry orchards, located not far from the Grand Colonio. This deduction appears sound.
Good work, Inspector. I had a feeling we'd make some progress once we brought you onto the case. You'll need Administrator Ludovico to grant you access to the orchards. Contact him through the secure access terminal in your penthouse suite. Check in with the concierge. Your room should be ready by now. If it isn't, I may have to go shake someone by the collar.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. This is a bottle of unreleased Rizzo's product. Helen appears to have attempted to use it to spell something as she expired, but all she managed was a sticky bee. This hypothesis is plausible, but requires additional information. Now calculating likelihood of Halcyon Helen using her final moments to endorse Rizzo's Spectrum Brown. Low to moderate likelihood. Correct. Bertie Black Hole Holcomb is a registered guest at the Grand Colonial Hotel. Accessing guest database. B. The Grand Colonial Hotel is proud to serve the following VIPs. Bertie, Black Hole. Burbage 3001. This evidence has been recorded for later reference. Now generating pre-approved compliment. Splendid work, Inspector.
Something I should know? I'm afraid I must decline. It isn't personal, Inspector. I'm just on duty right now. Talk to me later, after you've met with Administrator Ludovico. I'll make time to chat. Are you asking me these questions in an official capacity? I appreciate the gesture, Inspector, but I'm on duty. If you'd like to speak informally, please, ask your questions. Spencer Woolrich and Bertie Holcomb are officially persons of interest in this investigation. I've mostly ruled out Mr. Woolrich, leaving Bertie Holcomb as my lead suspect. Let me rephrase that. He's your lead suspect. I've been instructed to turn this case over to your capable hands, while I continue to serve as a consultant. I know. This entire affair is beginning to sound suspiciously like a 2-bit serial. Mr. Woolrich was Halcyon Helen's professional rival. It's possible jealousy drove him to take Helen out of the picture. I apologize for the wordplay. Conversely, Mr. Bertie Holcomb was Helen's paramour. The relationship was reportedly dissolved. I can't rule out her murder as a crime of passion. Woolrich thinks of himself as a serious and distinguished actor. He was frequently cast in demeaning roles, while Helen played the charismatic heroine. He has reason to be envious. I considered the possibility that Woolrich killed Helen in order to eliminate a rival and advance his own career. But my reasoning collapsed under closer scrutiny. Woolrich owes his career to Helen's dramas. Her death likely harms his long-term prospects. I'm struggling to determine a motivation for him, so I've largely ruled him out. Mr. Holcomb was in a romantic relationship with Helen. This alone is not enough to make him a lead suspect, but he does play tossball. Black Hole Bertie currently holds the record for most non-consecutive blows to the head. His tendency toward irrational and violent behavior is well documented. Please, ask your questions. Norval, head bellhop. He was understandably distraught. I believe his feelings were genuine. He's a remarkably poor actor. Hotel security corroborates his whereabouts during the murder. I haven't included him in my list of suspects, but neither am I convinced of his innocence. There's no sign of the murder weapon. Whatever it was that killed Helen, the killer took it with them. Frankly, I'm having trouble imagining exactly what it was that killed her. Helen was known to carry her signature weapon, a bespoke handgun known as the Needler. There was no sign of any such weapon on her body. If there were any witnesses, none came forward. Ballroom cameras were also offline at the time of the murder. Helen was very particular about having cameras on her. Security footage would have constituted documentary filmmaking. Can't afford that. Anything else? You've got my cooperation. Anything else?
The Purpleberry Orchards. And a footprint. Inspector, that was absolutely marvelous. Beautifully deduced. With the help of my discrepancy amplifier, of course. Ah, I was waiting for this. Yes, of course. I'm only too eager to cooperate. My goodness, I must have died and ascended to the architect's plane. I never imagined I'd meet someone courteous and well-mannered in this hotel. I'd be more than happy to banter with you after I finish my autopsy. Until then, shall we talk about the body? The corpse, Inspector. Concentrate, please. Our leading lady must have riled up someone. Her wounds from cranium to metatarsal are as follows. A blow to the head, severe enough to lacerate the flesh. Followed by a suite of plasma burns down the neck and back, signs of poisoning, evidence of inanition and desiccation, possible signs of jaundice, some shingles, one malformed toenail. That's good advice. I'll just strike out malformed toenail as a possible cause of death. The short version is this. Helen was killed by poison, a blow to the head, and a plasma weapon. Possibly more. I am, of course, at your service. Oh, why, I'm flattered, Inspector. Let me think. I've worked at the Grand Colonial for about as long as it's been around. Prior to that, I lived in Byzantium, but I always felt like it was missing something. And that something turned out to be corpses. Byzantium has much in the way of luxury, but examining the dead does not rank amongst the preferred activities of the elite. It's not necessarily that I dislike it, just that I think the day-in, day-out flow of luxury gets old. Leisure's worth its salt, of course, but sometimes you need to get a little corpse blood on your hands to remember why life's worth living. Absolutely. Usually I'm just a medical practitioner, so I almost never get to deal with anything as unique, or as quiet, as a corpse. The most interesting thing I saw prior to this was the back of Mr. Woolrich's throat after he blew out his vocal cords shouting at an attendant. If I weren't here, I'd be back in my quarters, rewatching Byzantium in the spring, or working on my automatic sprat peeler. Oh, good. One of my favorite subjects. Ask away, my dear. Ask away. I still have the blueprint and several extra prototypes floating around, but I might recommend you try to be careful with it. Some of the amplifier's internal components are rare, shall we say, and I don't have an indefinite supply. I didn't expect an existentialist question so early today. It's a need. Just as sprats feel they must breed, or canids feel they must brutally maul each other, I feel the need to create. Inspector, I'm sure you don't want to spend 4 hours talking back and forth about the intricacies of a science project. It works. That's the important part. Because you're the inspector. I should think that's rather... Oh dear. You seem to be hearing what you want to hear rather than the words coming out of my mouth. Allow me to clarify? I invented the discrepancy amplifier to assist me in my own medical work. When you were hired to investigate Helen's death, I realized I had my own part to play. I programmed the amplifier to assist you. I'm entrusting it to your care because I want to see my invention help a brilliant inspector solve the murder of the century. You don't miss a thing, do you, Inspector? I can see why the constable recommended hiring you. Think of the amplifier as my gift to you. May it avail you in the swift and efficient prosecution of justice. You sure you don't want to know anything else? Oh, all right. We can change the subject. Oh, good. One of my favorite subjects. Ask away, my dear. Ask away. You sure you don't...
How awful! I left my favorite jacket in there.
Finally checked in, I see. I hope you're fond of the penthouse. It's pretty much the best seat in the whole hotel. You shouldn't want for any amenity you might find elsewhere. Should act as a better headquarters for the investigation than any space dust covered ship. That and you ain't got room service on a ship. You ever need anything, come find me. Even if you don't, you can still swing by. I'm always happy to chat. Oh, of course. That is, maybe not on a personal level, but I'm one of her biggest fans. Even started an association of like-minded individuals. I'd lament not having anything to meet about anymore, but the newer tribe just ain't done it for us. Still, there goes my hopes of a Terran Monarch reunion episode. Of course, budgets went up, but the writing quality chewed straight through the floorboards and free fell into Halcyon's son. I'm supposed to believe Helen would let the chief of the Savages go free just since he was revealed to be her half-cousin? He's a dissident! You kill him! I, like most fans, reckon this series should go back to its roots. Another 200 episodes of the Origins plotline is what we really want. Now, what can I lend a hand with? Oh, Sorry, friend, but I guess you don't get it. Helen was special, had a certain quality about her, like she would really go out and fight injustice. You look at Woolrich, and no disrespect to the man, but you just don't get the same feeling. He reminds me more of a vacuum suit without nobody in it. Don't tell him I said that. I suppose you could call it that, but that don't mean I poked around her room or nothing while she was out. That'd be a huge breach of hotel policy. Besides, knowing Helen's athletic acumen, anyone who tried probably would have been found, beaten senseless, then hurled into the hallway followed by the contents of a garbage bin. Probably, that is. It'd probably happen, but it didn't. I'm just theorizing. Oh, Sorry, friend, but I guess you don't get it. You look at Woolrich, Notice my battle-hardened physique, have you? Used to be in a mighty mean line of work. Been shot at 35 times. That is, I've been near people who were shot at 35 times. But to be honest, I never really enjoyed it, you know. It's one thing to tightrope walk between life and death every day, but for just a handful of bits? Nah. When this position came up, I jumped on it and made a lateral move from sublight to slug. I ain't ever looked back. Stories. Huh. Actually, I think I got a couple now that you mention it. Had a basket case visit from Fallbrook once. Almost took a swing at me when I tried to take his bag. Turned out to be full of live sprats. We charged him extra. Well, slug is something like an offshoot of sublight. It ain't too difficult to pivot from one part of the same company to another. Disconnects or no. That said, my departure may have been somewhat hasty. Well, it was, technically. Basically, I singled out a ship to salvage that I thought had been out for use for years. As it turns out, it belonged to a wealthy Byzantine who used it only to vacation. As it so happened, I still don't think she tried to use it, too satisfied with the luxuries of Byzantium. Still, I figured it was a good time to turn tail, in case that ever changed. Well, Slug is more trustworthy for one thing, where Sublight is all about back alleys and backstabbing. Slug can be trusted not to salvage your ship when you turn your head. Well, basically, Please do.
I did not read about this kind of thing.
The Grand Colonial Front Desk warmly... How may I... I'd love to, Inspector, but I don't really have the authority. Moreover, the guests were promised exclusivity. If I let you up there, I'll never hear the end of it. That's a good point. If they give me guff, I can just tell them that they're obstructing justice. That has a nice ring to it. Let me just set you up with VIP guest floor access. Done. You can now come and go as you please. Ah yes, we are most pleased to offer you our grandest of grand accommodations, Inspector. The penthouse suite on our topmost floor is now available for you. The last guest left her belongings behind when she vacated unexpectedly, so we needed a little time to tidy the suite up for you. Simply call the elevator in the lobby and our highly skilled operator will deliver you to your private floor with efficiency and cheer.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. An industrial-grade laxative has been added to the liquor in these bottles.
Oh, hello.
You know, I never imagined
Bertie Holcomb is likely beside himself in grief.
We're the future of sublight. As you wait.
Mr. Kincannon really knows how to run a hotel.
Mr. Kin.
Bertie Holcomb is likely beside himself in grief.
Murder or no murder, it is my right to loiter on a bar stool.
Guess I ought to.
What's on your mind?
Black.
Hello there, my inordinately... Oh, you're the one who visited me. Hello again. Thanks so much for brightening my day. What authorized floor can I bring you to? Next stop, the finest seat in the house.
Inspector, I understand you've visited the scene of the crime. Halcyon Helen was an important cultural icon. She will be sorely missed. Halcyon Helen was more than a character. She was a brand. Her death will now be associated with Rizzo's Spectrum Brown. You understand why that worries me. Stop. Please warn me before you provide me with unsolicited ideas. There are waivers you need to sign. Back to the matter at hand. Tell me about your investigation. Your discretion is appreciated. I admit, I'm beginning to feel more confident in this arrangement. Here, I'm granting you access through the gates to the orchards. You're officially authorized to see this investigation through to the end. There is one caveat. Cedric's being rather intransigent about letting you into the spaceport. Possibly he's trying to hide something. Possibly he wants to annoy me. Possibly both. I agree with the sentiment behind your snide remark. Unfortunately, the Piraeus spaceport is Cedric's purview, not mine. You have a lead to chase. Law speed, Inspector. Inspector?
Ruth's appeal baffles me. She plays the same role in every serial. A stoic fixer devoid of deep emotion who will stop at nothing to make sure the rules of society are adhered to. Eridanos is a technological marvel, and they use it as a tourist destination to sell sweets and alcohol. The opulence of this place is stifling. When I joined your crew, I figured I was giving up any hope of ever staying in a place like this. The longer we stay here, the more I can feel my mind softening. The longer we stay here, the more I can feel my...
I call the big bed. Anyone wants to challenge me, we can play a hand of cards. I'm gonna nick a few towels. They won't notice. I'm leaving my shoes on. You think they'll let us expense the booze? I'm gonna nick a few towels. They won't notice.
When it comes to on-the-go cleanliness, SAM units murder the competition. Pigsty, slovenly. These premises are unsuitably disordered. Did you know the smoke from high society cigarettes is 10.07% more likely to leave odor and discoloration in fabrics than other leading brands? SAM's Special Inspector add-on includes a magnifying glass to sleuth out the germs and parasites that other cleaning products leave behind. Did you know the smoke from high society cigarettes is 10.07% more likely to leave odor and discoloration in fabrics than other leading brands?
Oh gosh, I hope I don't get any grease stains on the furniture. There's no room service, right? Just asking. Do you think it's strange that I kinda miss Ada?
This room ain't so bad. I could get used to this. So this is what a clean room smells like.